Hey, um, I just kind of had a thought, and I'll take the audio from this and make it a podcast for the people listening and put on the main channel. But I wanted the video to be, I wanted to like kind of like show my expressions and stuff on the secondary YouTube channel. Um, y'all know Game Pass and how you know it's like the big thing. Their games are being put on Game Pass, and it's just awesome. It's a great value. It's $10, $15 maybe. Great bang for your buck. Wonderful for indies. All that great stuff, right? Y'all remember when Netflix hit the scene and they started doing their streaming, and it just kind of deleted, um, you know, video rentals, and they owned that market for at least a half decade before other competitors kind of started coming onto the scene. Like Hulu started to be a thing, and then Disney Plus, and then HBO Max or HBO Go. First it was HBO Go, then it was HBO Now. Now it's HBO Max. They put those two together. But like Netflix ran this shit for like a straight decade. And now we have multiple streaming services where you have to do Peacock, Paramount Plus, Discovery, HBO Max, Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix. Just it's a disaster. It's it feels like we're back where we were. The whole point of like what companies will like the whole point of like what Netflix did originally was to sort of like decimate the market it's replacing and then own the market that it exists in, and it did for a long time. But they were an outsider. They, were a startup upstart company. They weren't institutional. And institutional people in the music and movie and TV industries want their stuff to be with other institutional things. That's why at some point, I think it was in 2019, 2020, everything just started moving over to HBO Max. If they weren't putting it on their own platforms, they were putting it on HBO Max. Why are they putting it on HBO Max? Well, they're putting it on there because, well, it's HBO. It's owned by Time Warner. They're industry, like they're normal in the industry. They're institutionalized like that, slowly kind of like bleeding Netflix dry, as it were. Why am I doing all this recap of streaming services if we're talking about something like Xbox Game Pass? Well, Netflix was cheap. It had everything, and it was and at a certain point, the only place to get new episodes of some shows. Game Pass is the same way, and unlike Netflix, which started as an upstart company, Microsoft, which owns Xbox, is institutional. All of EA, Activision, Blizzard, which Microsoft is about to own, even some Sony really is putting their game. Sony, for Christ's sake, is putting their games on Game Pass. I'm worried that Game Pass. The logical conclusion I'm coming to here is that, or where I'm getting to here is that I'm thinking about the logical conclusion of this idea of Game Pass, where we don't actually own the games that we play. Now, I know it can be argued that, like, when you buy games digitally, you technically don't really own them yourself, and that is very much true. The day Steam's what servers go down is the day all of us are going to be truly, truly fucked. But that being said, that being said, like, at least we have the veneer of ownership. Like, unless Valve or someone else goes into our accounts and deletes ownership of it, like Sony did with PT on the PlayStation, we have it. Like, we have our stuff. Like, I can go back and play games by Digital Massacre, the dickhead run by the Romero brother, like the dickhead Romeros. Or what was that person's name? James Romaine. That's what it was. I still have some of Digital Homicide's shit tier games because I bought every game they created for like $3 on a Steam sale before, they poked the hornet's nest of Stephanie Jim Sterling. Frankly, to me, I feel like that we're going to get to a point where we just don't really own games anymore. Like, Microsoft is, I think, working on a product which is like a little dongle that you plug into a TV, and you then can just, through the internet, stream whatever gaming you want through Xbox, through Gamepass. On the surface level, that's fucking amazing. Are you saying that, like, a person with a strong enough internet connection doesn't need the hardware? They can just plug that in and play whatever game they want for $15 a month? That's great. I mean, certainly not great for, like, people who are broke as shit, because broke as shit people generally don't have a lot of great internet. But even with that being the case, I wonder, like, when we get to that point, like, will it just be the norm that we just can't buy games even digitally at that point? Like, I can't stand that as an idea. That sounds terrifying. And I hate it. What's the alternative, Like, what can I say other than like how else, like, what's the other alternative to, other than this being a thing? Like, I genuinely don't know, like, what I or really anybody would do, like, in that scenario, because it's like you're telling me that I don't that like, if I love a game and Xbox just decides, nah, we don't like this, we don't want this anymore, it's gone, I can't play it anymore. And because all of these games are in the cloud, like, piracy's not even an option anymore, which, if that's the case, like, piracy, legally dubious as it is, has always been, morally correct when a company gives you no legal way to purchase or play a game that they're providing to you. It's unbelievably frustrating because it's like, I feel conspiratorial talking about this and going over this, but at the same time, what's the alternative? Like if this isn't, like, the ultimate goal, like, everything we know about how companies and companies and how they, with profit motives, work. Like, the whole goal with doing a service like this is to corner the market, like Netflix did. And unlike Netflix, which, honest to God, Netflix could possibly do something like this with their infrastructure. But regardless, the point is that, like, there's really no other company on the planet except maybe Amazon or Google that could do this effectively. But, what, like, who are indies gonna trust more with their game, with, like, putting their games on? It's gonna be Microsoft, it's gonna be Xbox, because Xbox is a known brand, and they have a history of, like, catering to the game industry. But at the same time, though, even if you had, like, Sony is irrelevant at this point. You have Xbox, Amazon, and Google, the ones being the ones making the games. That's still the same problem. If the only way to, like, get people to play your game is to, like, offer it up to these three platform gods and say and take whatever penance they offer you, or whatever, however much money you get per hour streamed. What's that going to do for game development? What's it, like? It's this is a giant rabbit hole that it could go forever, and it makes me nervous. Like, I've never been one to put a lot of stock in the concept of games ownership, of, like, owning a physical game. I'm a Steam user. I've been rocking with digital downloads since I downloaded Steam to play Skyrim back in 2012. I don't know what to do. Other than try and buy physical games out. I sure as shit buy physical Nintendo games. I don't buy Nintendo games unless I get them physically. Because why would I do anything different? I don't know. I don't know what I want to end this note on, but obligatory thank you to my patrons. They support I don't know. I'm just, like, this whole idea depresses me, and I don't know what to do at this point, like, in terms of what to say, because I've said what I need to say, but, like, I still have that melancholy feeling of just, this sucks. And we're a decade out from this being our reality, but it's coming. And it's not gonna be good. You think that HBO Max ripping away all of those beloved cartoons, like Infinity Train, 200 episodes of Sesame Street, all being thrown into a void for tax reduction? I'm curious what's going to happen when, we want to go back and play games like Stardew Valley, old Elder Scrolls games, previous versions of Call of Duty. And they're just not there anymore. It's sad. And I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll say thank you to my patrons. Reed Savage, Mike Nicely, PT Sean, Oni, Top Hatter, Anthony J. Lopez, and the love of my life, Metafavuzi. Thank you guys for supporting this show, and if you, the viewer, care to support, check the description down below, or go to patreon.com/HIMedia. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.